But I started feeling like I don't drink, but I started feeling kind of drunk, like thinking to myself, like, you know, what? What is wrong with me? I feel like I can't drive. I'm hitting a couple curves. Next thing you know, like I said, I'm passing out. I didn't know that I had died until I got back. I passed away. My mother was there with me. When this happened to me, I shot through the ceiling of the hospital in front of a huge cloud. Before I shot into that cloud, and this is the thing, like I said, I don't tell everybody. There's close friends I'll tell it to. Before I shot into that cloud, I was in another place. Okay, I mean, I don't know how to tell you other than tell you, like, hell is real, and a fire would have been nice from what I got. I thought I was a man. I thought I was a big man. I thought I was tough. I thought I was smart. I thought, well, I got money. He was like, I gave you all that, and you never glorified me once. You never called on my name. Last thing I was told was, you're condemned to death for not believing in Jesus. And I said, and this is the most important part of the whole testimony.
Hi, welcome to Touching the Afterlife. Today we have Tim with us. Tim died for nearly 18 minutes, and he's here today to share his amazing testimony. Tell us a little bit about how old were you when this happened, and what brought you to the hospital that caused you to die for 18 minutes?
Yes. Okay. So that day, it's been like a normal day. It was April 12th, 2020. I was 35 years old. And, I was just going to work. I do service calls. I run around and, I work on a bunch of air conditioners. I get in a bunch of attics. I get under a bunch of houses. I do electrical work. But I started feeling, like I don't drink, but I started feeling kind of drunk, like thinking to myself, like, you know, what? What is wrong with me? I feel like I can't drive. I'm hitting a couple curves. I called my mom and I'm like, uh, I'm about to have to go to the emergency room. Like something's not right. And she's like, yeah, you need to go if this is the way you feel. I get to the emergency room. My mom gets there, and I'm like passing in and out of conscience. It's like I can't even stand. I'm having to sit down, and they take me back. They hook me up to they thinking maybe I'm low on IV or whatever. They check me out. Next thing you know, like I said, I'm passing out. I didn't know that I had died until I got back. So I'm at the hospital in ICU, and I'm just, I passed out. But I thought that I passed out. I didn't know that I died actually until I got back. So, and what the doctors think is an allergic reaction to two different types of medication that I was taking. Now, I was taking two different types of antibiotics. They don't know for sure what it was. And like I said, I didn't know if I was poisoned or what happened, but I passed away. My mother was there with me. When this happened to me, I shot through the ceiling of the hospital in front of a huge cloud. I believed at the time I was hallucinating. I thought, they had to give me some kind of drugs, morphine or whatnot or whatever. When this happened to me, I'm looking at the cloud and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, and mind you, I never read the Bible before this. So I didn't know anything about the clouds of glory. The cloud, it parted like two hands. And when this happened, it looked like peppers shot together, like black specks of peppers shot together to the center of the cloud. It formed a materialized walkway. It looked like a hospital floor, just linoleum tile floor. There was a double wooden door, like an ER door, like a plain, just plain wood, no clear coat on it, no metal on it. And there were four women standing, two on both sides of the double door with long sleeve, white Victorian style wedding dresses. The dresses went up to their chin with lace that went around the front with purple sashes. And they were standing like soldiers. They were brighter than a welding arc. I never seen anything this bright I could look at with my bare eyes. And so I'm eye level with the floor, just barely above the floor, just like this. And I'm thinking to myself that I've fallen off the bed or whatever, and I don't know what's going on exactly. And I'm thinking, why are the nurses standing like this? Why do they got white dresses on with purple sashes? My mother's a nurse, and I've seen scrubs my whole life, so I never seen anything like this. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and in front of the door, this figure of a man materialized from his feet to his head, like just it looked like off Star Trek. He materialized literally, and he got about halfway to me, and he completely materialized. He had thick white curly hair. His hair was like it was perfect, but it was like 1 inch curls, and it was whiter than printer paper. He had olive color tan skin, slightly tan, almost looked white in a way. Of course, it doesn't matter, but he had thick white eyebrows and brown eyes, clean shaved, and he had a white T-shirt tucked in some blue jeans. And the guy, he looked like a farmer. His clothes were old. They looked just normal, just like a normal man, just like you know, like like a farmer that stepped out of his shop or something, And he walks out to me, and he puts both his hands on his hips, and he's staring down at me. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, who is this man? Like, I thought he was a doctor that had just, got in on call, like just came in to, like, didn't have time to scrub out. And he's standing over me, like I said, and I'm thinking to myself, are you going to keep looking at me, man? Are you going to help me? Like, why are the nurses so scared of you? Why are they standing back there like that? And why do they got white dresses on? What if blood gets on their dresses? They're so bright. And like I said, I'm looking at him, and he doesn't have a name tag or a stethoscope on, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, man, what? And when he said it, he goes, Tim, we love you. And when he said this word, when he said my name, and we love you, it was like an atomic bomb went off. It was the feeling that you have for your children or your wife. This feeling, you can't see it, but the feeling itself is actually Christ, is actually God. You see, this was the source of all love. We are like little mirrors in our family to the people we love that are reflecting God's love. But he is the source of all of this. He didn't say, I knew that this was Jesus, and before this, I wasn't necessarily living right, but and I didn't deserve a second chance. But either way, back to the testimony, like when he said this, I can't describe it. I forgot about my children. I raised 2 kids for 4 years without their mother. It's like it's the hardest job. It's not like it is the hardest job in the world. But and by the grace of God, I was able to do that. But and I love my children like a granny loves her children. Okay, but when he said this and I felt this, I didn't care about them. I didn't care about my mom. I didn't care about anybody. I was like, who is this man that loves me so much? I mean, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. And so when I opened my eyes, because my eyes were closed and I seen this, when I opened them, he was on like in a football kneeling stance, one knee and one knee up. And he was hugging me. My head's about chest high on him, and he's hugging me. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's, people talk about a treasure in heaven or a mansion. I don't care about that. I just want to see Jesus. I don't care about none of that, because this love he has is, I mean, you don't want to miss it. And you realize that love is actually the most important thing in this universe. All this other stuff that we have, you won't care about. You realize it was all like we were hallucinating the same dream. And you realize none of this stuff mattered. The only thing that mattered was Christ and his love. And that love, Christ is love, and the Father is love. So, that's the only thing that matters. But either way, he's hugging me, and he went to let go of me, and he kissed me on the left cheek. And when he let go of me, I this man's kissing me. So, he just gave me a little kiss, but I'm just like, hey man, like, because I kind of snapped out of this feeling of love. And I'm thinking, who's this man kissing me? And inadvertently I looked up, and when I looked up, it looked like the ceiling was on fire. But the thing is that the smoke was not moving. It was just stationary. It was just there. And I've seen smoke. We've all seen smoke. So I'm get to looking at it, and I'm thinking, what is this? Like, and I look back at the door behind him, and it's just a double wooden door, just plain regular door trim, just with no clear coat, just plain wood, a white wall, and the 4 women, 2 on both sides of the double door, with long sleeve white Victorian style wedding dresses. They, like I said, they had purple sashes. These dresses were like Victorian style, like they went up to their chin, like I said, with lace. They were so beautiful. They were so bright. They had like embroidery on their arms and stuff that went down to their arms with lace and stuff. But they were so bright that you actually could not. They didn't have any shadow on them, so you couldn't even see the embroidery. I'm trying to look at this, and I'm trying to look at this. I went to look at their faces, and they had a face, but their face was so bright that it was brighter than the dress. It was emanating from the dress. They had an outline of a face, but yet, let me stop moving. They didn't have any face. I couldn't see their facial features. And so I at that point, I'm like, what, and I look up, because I'm looking like beside the Lord, and I look up, and he's kind of staring down at me, like, kind of like this, like, he didn't say anything, but he was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm God, like, but he didn't say that. And when this happened to me, I couldn't even, at the time, I used curse words and stuff. So I couldn't make out words to even say. I probably wanted to, but I couldn't even talk. I looked to my right, and I seen the earth below me, and I seen the coastline, and I seen the land, and I screamed. I said, this is crazy. What is all this? What is my purpose? And when I said this, I'm looking at him. He started to speak. It went mute. I can see his lips moving, and I'm focused. I can see his lips. I can see all this. Is like I'm looking at it right now. And he started to speak, but it went mute as soon as he started to speak. And when he started speaking, at the same time, whenever I'm, looking at his lips, he showed me a replay of my life. I saw the moment that I was born. I seen the clock was 5:01 in the morning. I seen the doctor's name tag, and I seen every single sin that I ever committed. And I'm not talking about like a couple. I'm talking about billions. I mean, it's beyond anything that every single lie, every single mistake. It was like we spent 8 hours on every single second of my life and every single sin, but instantly. I was everyone that I ever met, and I met myself. And I really believe that I was this good person. I generally, I don't want to say I don't lie, because we've all lied and we've all stolen, but I don't lie and I don't steal, so to speak. I thought that made me a good person. And I thought, but when I seen myself, it was just horrible. It was pathetic. It was ridiculous. And we're actually all this way. And, the devil tries to get us to lie to ourselves, thinking that we're some good people because we've done a couple good things. But it was kind of like he showed me all the good stuff that I had done, but he also showed me that he had put that on my heart to do. So I couldn't really even take credit for that. And, really what was left was just all my deeds were like filthy rags before him. I was so ashamed that I never read his word, that I never called on his name. And I believed in him 100%. I just was led away from Christ because of religion, and because of so many hypocrites in these organizations. And I just was like, I don't want anything to do with this, but I believe in him. And I knew he was watching everything, but either way, he showed me that I had never got lucky. He had saved my life. The Holy Spirit has saved my life. I don't even know how to be this innumerable amount of times. Like, he had saved my life. And, I had never called on his name, even though I was praying to the God of Israel. I never called on his name, Jesus. And he showed me that he wasn't smart. He knew everything. It's different. We people think that, like, you think you're smart. You think, well, I can remember this. Or Jesus is God. He there's nothing he don't know. He knew every thought, every motive that I ever had for anything that I ever done. There was no, you're not going to like talk your way out. You're not, people, I thought I was, I thought I was slick or something, and we all do it sometimes in our life, thinking, oh man, he showed me I allowed you to get away with these things. I was there protecting you and guiding you. You never got away with anything. I gave you that slack, and, but when you get there, you're not, there is no, I don't know how to tell people, because we are deceived by these other spirits that dwell here that are not the Holy Spirit. People call them demons, but they're spirits. They can inhabit you, and they can lead you to believe and give you pride, thinking that, you're something, but you're like an atom before a man. You're like a atom, a molecule of an atom before a man. You're nothing before him. Only thing that is valuable, only thing that makes you worth anything is his love towards you. And it was humbling. It was beyond humbling. I was scared to death, to be honest with you, because there was no hiding anything. You go to a judge and you think like, well, my lawyer is going to, defend me. Like, this judge of the whole earth and universe is going to weigh every thought that you ever had and everything that you ever done and everything. It was like it's not like you're being recorded through every thing you look at, everything you think, and everything you hear. Everything is going in, and he's listening to everything at the same time, out of everyone at the same time. Every eye on the earth he's looking out of and hearing from every ear at the same time. And it's not something that's difficult for him. It's just like me having a conversation, but listening to everybody in the world at the same time. It's unseemingly, it's inconceivable. It was just super embarrassing. Every secret that I ever had was known. It was just like laid out like it was nothing. Like, I know why you done this. I know I was there. I seen that. I heard that. But anyways, he got done showing me. He knew the number of every blade of grass on the earth. He knew the number of every leaf on every tree. He knew the number of every grain of sand. It was, I literally knew that I was, like it says, he said, I was dust in the balance. I was nothing. but yet he loved me, and he loves every one of us like this. It's
Yes.
crazy because I mean the craziest thing about it, he was so humble. He was so humble. He didn't come out there with like, I always thought of God of Israel being like, with some gold on, some rings maybe, and like just yeah, he was just humble. I mean, we can't even get as humble as him. I mean, he's more humble than we can. We strive to be as humble as him, but you can't. He gave you your mama and daddy. He gave you your kids. So he said, "You're not worthy of me if you love me more than mother or father or daughter," because he's the one that gave you those. You may be raising them, but he put them there for you to raise. So he's really the father. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not taking Jesus' place as the father, because they're not the same, but they are one. But whatever is Jesus is whatever the Father is Jesus. So yeah, either way, he showed me that he was love. The love you have for your kid. You better like. I don't know how to tell you. Like, I love Jesus more than anybody. He is my idol. He is I look up to. Who is I want to be like. And the more you read about him and you see how humble he is, you'll that'll happen. You'll see like this is a real man. And he stood up, and he took a step back, and he waved his right hand just like this right here over me, and I shot back in my body. So when this happened to me, I get back, my mom's there crying, holding my hand, my cousin's there. I'm thinking, I don't know what to think. I thought it was 2030, because I thought this was like I didn't think this was real anymore. I thought this was some kind of like simulation. So I'm thinking like, well, what is this place?
So did
You,
your mom say you were dead? I mean, what was her reaction to
She was
when
sitting
you
there holding my hand, crying. They were getting to say goodbye to me. They were still in the room with me. So when this happened to me, I had to stay another night. But they ended up, after the next day, they took me home. And I mean, that's just the way it went, But
and you
uh,
saw this whole experience with Jesus in the clouds and
yeah. When I died there, like I said, I didn't know I died. I was just hooked up. I was thinking they give me some morphine or some kind of drugs in my IV or something, but they didn't give me any of that. I just I thought I just passed out,
Mhm.
But when I got back, and my mother, my cousin sitting there crying, and my mother's holding my hand, and I just came back into my body. I felt myself come back into my body, and my mom ended up and took me home, and my family came with me. The only thing that I could ask is, what year is it? I was, I'm a talker, but I couldn't. I thought it was conspiracy. I thought it was 2030. I looked through the whole pantry of my mother's pantry, looking at the expiration date on every piece of food that she had, and everything in the refrigerator, looking at the expiration date. I'm snatching my phone. I'm snatching my family members' phones out of their hand, trying to figure out like, what year is it? These people are lying to me. This is, are these people even real anymore? Like, what is this place?
So what was your mom's reaction when you told her what Jesus showed you and how he came to you?
Well, when I first told my mom, well, first of all, you got to understand, like, I didn't tell my mom for a couple months, because uh, I didn't know how to explain it to anybody. Like I said, the only thing I could say is, what year is it? And they thought that, I got a lot of nurses in my family. My aunt's a doctor, so they had me go to another hospital about a week later to go get a CAT scan on my brain, because they thought they had to all my whole family, like, probably not all of them, but I would say at least 10 or 12 members. I mean, my mom couldn't really do nothing with me, because I was really tripping. I don't know how to explain it. Like, but they took me to another hospital. They scheduled like a CAT scan to get on, because they thought something was wrong with my brain. They thought I had like a brain bleed or something, or that
Mhm.
maybe my brain wasn't functioning correctly. So they all got the, but I couldn't. I was scared to death of everyone and everything after this happened to me, and I'll explain why in a little bit. I tried to explain to her that I seen Jesus, but someone that's not walking with the Lord, it's kind of I don't know, like a lady told me one day. I was telling a lady on a service call, because that's what the Lord gave me a business for, to be able to tell people about Jesus, not just a testimony, but tell them that, you know, that he's real, and you just seek a relationship with him. It's not about religion, it's just about a relationship, and read his biography, the Bible. But she told me, she said, Tim, she said, because I was telling her I told some people, and they were thinking it was a joke, and she said, Tim, you got to realize something. Everybody's not going to be able to receive it. and you got to go to the next people who's going to receive it. So my mom didn't receive it at first. Now because she was like, how did you know you were born at 5:01 in the morning? I was like, because I seen the clock, I seen the doctor's name tag. I seen it. Like that's how I know,
Mhm.
So there are certain little things that I started telling her that I seen that that is impossible. The Lord showed me one of the times that the Holy Spirit saved my life when I was about 3 years old. Um,
Mm.
and I told her about this, and she was like, "How can you remember that?" But I got out of the truck with my dad to mow some of my grandparents' property,
Mm.
and there was a pie pan in the yard. It was flipped upside down. It was like just a regular, just a regular pie tin, just like you buy at the store with a combine or something. But I didn't know what and I can vaguely remember it. But now I can remember it. Like I don't know, I can remember stuff because I don't know because I guess we went back over it. But it was shiny. It was upside down, and I seen the sun hitting it. And like I said, I didn't know what it was, but the sun was hitting it. It was shiny, So I'm like a little kid. I'm like, man, what is that, And my dad's getting out of the truck to get the lawnmower out, and I jump out of the truck and run over there to pick it up. And I'm looking at it, and the Lord, and at the time, I didn't know what was going on, but the Lord showed me. He was like, "Don't pick it up, don't touch it." And I'm thinking to myself, and I can remember now wanting to pick this up really bad. And he said, "Leave it alone." I kind of had an argument with myself, I guess, and I thought I was having an argument with myself, but really the Lord. And he's saying, "Leave it alone." And something caught my attention, and I went away and did something else. I was really, really extremely hyper as a kid, so I didn't really have any attention span. I don't know how. I mean, the Lord saved me this time, which many times, and so my dad got over there mowing the lawn to that point where that thing was in the yard, and he said he called me. He said, "Timmy, come over here," and where he was sitting there squatted down on and looking at this pie tin, and he flipped the pie tin over, and there was a baby rattlesnake under the pie tin, that he had killed. I guess he put it back over, but he killed it. And I didn't know what a snake was. If I would have flipped that over, I would grab the snake, thinking, yeah, I didn't know what a snake was.
Mhm.
But this is one of like many, 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 many times. And the Lord didn't just save us on the cross. He saves you every day. Like there's many times where you could have gotten killed, and
Mm.
he saves you, and you don't even take credit for it. You're like, oh, we got lucky. You didn't get lucky. There's no such a thing as luck.
Yeah. I
Those,
think it was interesting how he showed you your whole life. I guess that would be like a life review in that
yeah,
while
yeah.
you were, and so tell us a little bit more. You said you saw I like how you said you saw yourself through his glasses.
Yeah,
So
so it was like and I'm trying not to move this camera. I might have to move on my couch if I keep moving because I get
it's
to
okay.
moving in this chair. But if I do, just let me know.
Mhm.
But I really want to emphasize this to people to understand something like Christ. Yes, he appeared. God appears like a man. He's an image. He looks like, but he's not like us. You know, we look like him, but he's the real thing. We're like an imitation. He's God. So you cannot fool him. It's like we're like essentially like a computer, like if somebody, like say for a computer programmer wanted to look at your computer and they wanted to see every stroke that you hit. Jesus can look at every file, every motive, every thought, every keystroke that you've ever thought or done. There is no fooling him. You can't, I mean, he showed me every single sin, and I'm talking about every lie, every mistake. Like, I just want people to understand, like, he's the king, he's God, and he's the king of kings. And he's not a king that you can come and gonna rub elbows with and be like, oh, king, you're such a king. You're not gonna finesse him. There is no finesse. You're not going to talk your way out of anything. And I really thought, I try to tell some people, and they're like, I'm thinking, I see that they think that they're smart or something. But when you realize that God's not smart, being smart is something that we have, but he's given us. Like, well, and what is being smart? Being able to remember something more than the next person, or even being able to take advice and listen to it. I consider that smart. But all that stuff is vanity to him. He knows everything. He knows everything. And he's
Mhm.
like the co-pilot inside of everyone. So it's like you can imagine being like having a co-pilot, and he's watching every button, every moment you hit the throttle, every button you hit, everything you hit. You can't say, well, I didn't hit that button, because he was like, he showed me. You can't deny it. People try to be like narcissists, and narcissism is not actually a disorder. It's a demonic spirit that's over these people. Because how is it that everybody, no, it's a demonic spirit to get you thinking that you're like God, or you're like God's best gift, or you're right, everybody else is wrong. This is a demon. This is a spirit that gets you blinded. God has showed me, like if, for example, like you see the light back there, the fixture. Okay, so it's like, this is like a sin. Like, I'm looking at it, you're looking at it, we both see it. I can't deny it, neither can you. That's how he looked at every sin. There is no talking. You don't get to talk and explain. Well, I didn't do none of that. You're this is it, and you can't. And see, in the spiritual realm, which is the real realm, this is a temporal thing. You see, so in the spiritual realm, there is no such a thing as lying. You can't lie, because your spirit will testify against you. You might think, no, but your spirit's like, yes, I did that.
So, Tim, for a good almost year, did you say you were wrestling with this, and it took months to tell your mom, and then you go into her storage unit, right? And you find this Bible. So, is that when the Lord came to you? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, and I'll just say, like, after I got back from the hospital and got home to my mother's house, I completely lost my mind for like 6. I mean, even after I found the Bible, I lost. I was still like, and what it boiled down to is I had all. Whenever you get close to Christ, you're gonna have demonic spirits come after. They don't mess with you as long as you're not serving Christ. As long as you deny Jesus or something in your actions, or even with your mouth, they're gonna be. They don't mess with you. But whenever you get close to Jesus, man, because you become a threat to the kingdom of darkness. You're not a threat to the kingdom of darkness if you're with him. That's what people don't understand. Like, Christians are under spiritual attack. It's a real thing. But anyways, I was because I wasn't repenting, and the Lord was. I know now, looking back, he was convicting me. That's why I was feeling so filthy and so dirty, all this stuff I had done. And then, anyways, like I said, I cried every day for about 7 months. And my mom, and this is another thing I want to tell people. There's a lot of different versions of the Bible, okay? And you can read, and let me mind you, you can read any one of them be dumb, or be a babe in Christ. And if you read it over and over, cover to cover, not flipping around, looking at the beautiful verses here, read it cover to cover, not like a hunting magazine that you're flipping through, because the Lord he's not going to open it to you. He only opens his word to those who are really believe that he is God and that this is his word. But she has a lot of versions in there, in her house. In her house is her husband's house, so that he passed and left her, and he was a Christian, so he had some Bible versions in his house. Okay, there's like a watch. What do you call it? That the New World Mistranslation or whatever. Because that's what it is. It's a mistranslation. Don't read that thing. It's a demonic book. But anyway, she had some of those in there and some other, different versions. The Lord didn't lead me to go pick one of them up. I never even looked at those. He spoke to me about 6-7 months when I'm in my room, my mother's house, crying to myself, just trying to hold on to reality. Just barely, and I was under demonic attack so heavily that and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have anybody to come lay hands on me, to pray on me, or pray for me. Like, I'm just bearing this all on my own, like just trying to, and also, denying Jesus, because I knew that it was him. He doesn't say I'm, he doesn't say I'm Jesus. It's Jesus. When he said, Tim, we love you, I knew it. It's like, it was so obvious. And it was like, oh God, this is the God. Oh my God, this is the God of Israel. Oh my God, this is my God. And I never called on his name. But anyways, he spoke to me and he said, Tim, stop crying. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. And so, he said, go out to the store. And like I said, she has an 80-foot long RV camper garage that held a camper that her husband sold, that he gave away when he passed. He gave it to his son. And so she's got it packed full of stuff. She does like I said, garage sales and stuff. It's packed full of like furniture. And I had to say some trash too, but a bunch of stuff. And I'll get in there And I'm like, man, oh my God. Like I had to find the key, but I got in there and I'm thinking, oh Lord, I didn't say, oh Lord, but I said, oh God, I'm losing my mind. Like, man, I'm like, what am I even in here for? And I started digging through the back. Like I said, I don't know how long. It probably took me 30 minutes, but I dug all the way to the back, moving furniture, digging to the back, sweating, crying, just thinking, oh Lord, what am I doing? Like I got to the back of it and I'm thinking, what is this? What do you want from me? And he said, look to your right. I looked to my right. There were some boxes there to my right. I moved 3 boxes and found the King James Bible. I opened it up. The first time I opened it up, I opened it. It went to Revelation. I think it's chapter 1, verse 7, and it says, "He comes in the clouds, and every eye shall see." You know, and at that point, and let me tell you, like I never wanted to mix. I believed in Christ, but I would never talk about religion or Jesus to anybody, because there's another Jesus in this world. There's many different Jesus, that people don't understand. And there's I love everyone, okay, but there's some other Jesuses out there. And if you know the Bible, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different denominations that have different Jesuses and different religions that have different Jesuses. Okay, there's many Jesuses, but there's only one Jesus Christ. All right, the Son of God. This God, the Almighty in the flesh. All right, but anyways, I wouldn't talk about Jesus to nobody. I never, these people, my friends and stuff that now that knew me, they're like, we don't even know who you are anymore, Tim. And they're like, oh Lord, if he's scared, I need to be scared. Like, and so, but there is another Jesus out there, and I wouldn't talk to anybody about it. But this Jesus, the one that is God, is in the Bible, and it is the truth, every word. And you get the King James version is what you want. I'm telling you, people, I know it's not easy to read. It doesn't matter. You don't try to understand it. Well, I don't understand. How can I read it? Well, it's prideful to think you're going to pick the word of God up and just start
So,
understanding it.
so what did the Lord speak to you, Jesus speak to you in that moment? And how has your life changed since that
Oh
moment?
yeah, I forgot. I get sidetracked talking about him because I love him so much. But and he's just amazing. But he said to me, "Are you going to deny me now that you've seen me and you know it's me?" And, I wasn't a person to talk about Jesus, but now I realize, like, uh, you know what? This is my God. This is the God that's done everything. He deserves all the glory and all the praise and everything I can give him. And you can't be people that after telling this testimony to me, like probably over 1,000 people now at this point, because I get glory to Jesus, because I get the opportunity to go house to house, business to business, and talk about him, and tell people about his glory. Um, but
So in that moment, did you feel an injection of his love? Did it take you back to when you were having your NDE in the hospital and he gave you that
yeah,
big hug?
well, you got to understand, there's another part of the testimony, and I'm not going to tell. And I'm going to tell it to you, but I'm not going to tell you the detailed version, because the Lord showed me that I just need to tell about him. But look, like I said, there was another. I mean, I fear the Lord. People don't understand. Like Isaiah 29:13 says, people, they honor me with their lips and with their mouth, but their heart is far from me. And men teach the fear of me, or men teach the fear of me by the precept of men. Like, people tell you how to fear him. He's somebody to love, and he's somebody to fear and to obey. You don't want to just be like, I believe in Jesus. Whoever you serve is your master. So you can be calling on Jesus all you want, but if you ain't, trying to follow him, and he knew how much I knew. Like he said, because you're lukewarm or neither cold nor hot, he'll spew you out of his mouth. I would say I was cold, but I believed in him 100%. And I believe because of that faith I had in him that he put there, I was able to have a second chance. I didn't deserve it. I deserve to go straight to hell. But okay, so before I shot into that cloud, and this is the thing, like I said, I don't tell everybody. There's close friends I'll tell it to. Before I shot into that cloud, I was in another place. Okay. You don't know that you die when you die. Like, if you was to die like in a car wreck or something like that, you like say you might wait. Like if you went to hell, for example, let's just say, for example, you might wake up in your bed on a Saturday, and you're like, oh God, that was a dream. Like, oh, thank God that was a dream. And you just, you don't think about it. You don't think about it like, oh Lord. And you get up, you walk around, and nobody's at home. Your wife's not there. The kid's not there. Maybe there's food, on the table and stuff, but nobody's there. You go outside, there's no birds. And you're thinking, what is going on? This is crazy. And then you may have somebody knock at the door that and they're like, oh, everything seems fine. And they may start talking to you about Jesus, saying, you don't believe in Jesus, you don't. And then, when there's bad, I mean, I don't know how to tell you other than tell you, like, hell is real. And a fire would have been nice from what I got, because I was denying Jesus because I didn't believe in the Jesus of the world, the religious Jesus that people portray. That I was like, I don't believe that you can come to church on Sunday and ask for forgiveness and do whatever you want and treat everybody how you want to treat everybody, and just come back on Sunday and pay a tenth, and then listen to this man tell you about Jesus and ask for forgiveness, and you can go back out and do whatever you want. I didn't believe in that, and that's not in the Bible, actually. So I was denying Jesus, actually, but he knew, but I believed in him 100%. So that got me to where I was. And the most important thing about this whole testimony is not necessarily seeing Jesus. I want to say that denying Jesus, because the last thing I was told is, you can, wherever I was going to go from there, it was going to be over with. Because, last thing I was told was, you're condemned to death for not believing in Jesus. And I said, and this is the most important part of the whole testimony, I said, I believe in Jesus. And these people, in hell, these people, they can look like people, they can transfigure into whatever they want. But they said, they hollered out, you believe in Jesus? And I said, yeah, I believe in Jesus. And I said, I just don't believe he's God. And when I said that, it caused the biggest ruckus. I'm talking about, like, what is this blasphemy? They were just talking back and forth, like, that caused the biggest problem. And they're like, what is he talking about? Like, he's not God, like, And they asked me, well, do you believe he's alive? And I said, well, yeah, I believe he's alive. And, they ask all these questions. They asked me, do you believe, he came from a bird, all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I believe all that stuff, And then it was like I was on some type of altar, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just what it was. And they whispered amongst themselves for about 30 seconds. I couldn't hear what they were saying. And they leaned back up, and there was like a leader of them, honestly. And he leaned over to me, almost like kissing me, and he said, do you believe? And this caused a bunch of commotion when I said, I didn't believe that he was God. That really threw a wrench in the whole, gearbox, right? They were like, what is he talking about? And because I'm telling you, he's God. Everybody, every knee will bow and confess that he is Lord. And what was I talking about? You're going to confess that he is God. You're going to confess. It don't matter. But anyways, they said, and this is the most important part of the whole testimony. They said, do you believe? And this one man said, do you believe that he died for your sins? And I said, yes. When I said that, I shot out of that, wherever I was, straight into that cloud. I mean, I was just dealing with this, and then I was scared to death because, I learned, the Lord has showed me, like, he gave me a lot of skills. I know how to work on electronics, anything with electricity I can work on. I even worked on computers. I stopped doing that when I got my heat and air license and, my electrical license and stuff, because I just wanted to focus on one thing. But when I had my kids, I was trying to do everything. But so my point of telling this is that I have a good understanding of how the world works and the things in it, more than most people. Like, as far as stuff around you in your house, I know how it all works. But when I seen this, my whole reality crumbled. I didn't know anything. But see, at the same time, I was dealing with who I really was, because he allowed me to see myself through my eyes with his glasses on. So I really seen who I really was. I was not this good person that I thought I was. Not even in this. I was a different person, actually. Not like similar. I was a different person than who I thought I was. Satan had allowed me to believe that I was this good guy because I did a couple good things. But boy, I was horrible. I had hurt so many people. And like I said, he showed me, like, I was everybody I ever met. Like I said, I met myself. So I knew, I didn't know. I felt the way that I caused everybody to feel. And not only that, but like it says in the scripture, you'll be held accountable for every word. So if you had spoken to 50 people roughly, or with love, or half of them with love, or whatever, those 50 people, however you treated somebody else a little different because of the way you treated them. So your 50 people may have affected 1,000,000 people over a period of a year, even. So that's why it says you'll be held accountable for every word, because literally I had affected millions of people, and we've all affected millions of people. And I just want to tell people, like, like, just read the Bible, humble yourself, read it. You don't have to. When I found it, I didn't even learn how to read till I was about 20. So I wasn't a good reader. I mean, I could read broken English. I couldn't read and remember what I read. But when I found the Bible, I started reading. I didn't realize the gospel was 4 different accounts of the same story. I thought I was going crazy because I thought I just read it. But my point is you don't have to be some expert reader. You don't have to understand it, because it's actually prideful to think you can pick the Bible up and understand it. You're not going to understand it the first time you read it, and it's intended that you study to show yourself improved, like it says in I think 2 Timothy. So you're going to read it more than once. Don't try to understand it. Just speak the word only. Just read it out loud, and don't skip around. Just read it from like Matthew to Revelation to cover, and continue reading it like every day. Read it like it's medicine. I thought I was a man. I thought I was a big man. I thought I was tough. I thought I was smart. I thought, well, I got money, he was like, I gave you all that, and you never glorified me once. You never called on my name.